Take number 1.
This is Keith interview. Take 1, Mark.
How would you describe Tony?
Competitive. He's had a lot of challenging situations to deal with. The bar for execution needs to be extremely high, and he's just always thrived. Humble.
There is no job too small or too mundane for Tony to do inside the company.
Driven.
He has shown remarkable drive to keep learning, keep improving himself and his business.
Doordash is not an easy business to run. Doing it as efficiently and methodically as he has is a testament to his character as a leader.
DoorDash started as PaloAltoDelivery.com, a business launched as part of a class Tony and his co-founders took at Stanford Business School. The idea was to create a delivery and demand generation service for small businesses, starting with restaurants.
Tony grew up in a small town in Illinois, and his mom had to work multiple jobs, including at a restaurant. And he saw the struggles of small businesses firsthand in that capacity. The founders, including Tony, were the ones that did all the deliveries from the start. Tony would be in his 2001 Honda, running around Palo Alto, dropping off food.
In 2013, the team decides to apply to the famed tech accelerator, Y Combinator.
Hey, I'm Stanley.
Hey, I'm Andy.
I'm Evan.
And I'm Tony.
Although they get in, they're seen as underdogs.
Lots of people sort of written them off because people were looking at outputs and not inputs. And Tony, Andy, and Stanley were very much focused on the inputs of their business.
Despite the early rejections and being a late entrant to a competitive space, Tony and his team forge ahead, motivated by their shared vision to build the local commerce platform for local businesses in every city.
In some ways, it shouldn't exist. You gotta get customers to order. You gotta get merchants to come on board. You gotta get dashers to deliver. But Tony, with his insights about how restaurants operate, how small businesses operate, how much love and care he has for merchants, you just kind of know that he was gonna figure it out and make it work.
To get DoorDash off the ground, Tony makes the decision to prioritize launching in the suburbs rather than major cities, as nearly every competitor and company before them did.
It was seemingly a controversial, contrarian idea, but it turned out not to be because Tony explained it very simply.
The value proposition to the customer was better because you couldn't just come downstairs and get everything you wanted. The cost to serve the customer was less.
If you look at where the restaurants are, there's a street called Main Street. And so you actually were going to be able to radiate out from this starting point.
Tony was hyper-focused on selection. Some people in the space thought if you had a Mexican restaurant, a burger place, a Thai place, that was good selection. Tony's insight is you better have my burger place. You better have my Thai place.
The company quickly finds product market fit in a few suburban markets. But the question remained, could this scale?
You started and you got from 0 to 1. Now can you go from 1 to N? And they were able to prove that again and again and again by going to different neighborhoods, different cities, and the rollout nationally was a very important milestone.
DoorDash continues to scale by partnering with national restaurant chains while still focusing on local restaurants and improving its technology for merchants, dashers, and consumers. But they have a problem.
In the early days, death was right next to us, constantly at risk of running out of money. We had competitors that were much better funded than we were.
In 2018, Tony has the opportunity to take on over $500 million in funding from 2 major venture firms, but at the cost of significant dilution to his and his employees' equity.
I think one of the things that strikes me most about Tony is more than anyone else I've ever met, he focuses on the things that he can control. And Tony, at the prodding of one of the other co-founders, Andy Fang, turned to me one day and he said, when the buffet came around when I was a kid, we didn't have a lot of money, so you kind of got to take 2. Dilution isn't ideal, but I know if we're around to compete, we're going to have a good chance to win. And the only way we're not going to have a chance to win is if we don't have the capital to compete.
Tony's rational decision-making under pressure would be put to the test during DoorDash's response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Heightened states of emergency across the nation.
You know that shutting down these dining rooms is going to have a big impact on bars and restaurants.
It seems many Americans are now preparing for the worst.
Volume drops off a cliff, and we were looking forward to an IPO. We're in trouble. And Tony was just focused on how to make Dashers safer. And then he turned to restaurants and saw how they were struggling and how can we help them.
DoorDash quickly orchestrates the delivery of millions of pieces of PPE to its Dashers and devises a system for contactless delivery. Tony then makes the bold move to partner with his competitors, investing millions into industry-wide advertising. He then cuts DoorDash's commissions in half.
I was telling Tony, this is going to cost us, $100 million. We're trying to go public. Think of what impact that'll have on our valuation. And he told me with utmost confidence that that was a very short-term approach and that the right thing is to make sure that our customer, in this case, the merchant, is taken care of.
Deliveries skyrocket during the pandemic, and DoorDash manages to scale to meet demand, more than tripling order volume on the platform in 2020.
Tony has always been a long-term thinker. He doesn't think in days, quarters. He thinks in years and now decades.
One of the things he says most often in the company is, how do we think longer term here? I think that stems from Tony's drive to build kind of a generational company.
DoorDash was able to grab market share and do so even though they were a late entrant because, frankly, they just provided a better customer experience. And when you do that, you win.
The company's response to the pandemic would strengthen DoorDash's position as category leader after leapfrogging its better-funded competitors in years prior. And following its IPO in 2020, the company would be valued at $73 billion. Since its launch, DoorDash has enabled well over 13 million people to earn flexible income as Dashers and generated over $100 billion in sales for local businesses across thousands of cities in more than 30 countries. It's also expanded into new categories like grocery, retail, and convenience, and has continued to develop new technologies.
Someone asked Tony recently how his wife would describe him, and he thought about it for a while, and he said, a masochistic robot with a heart, which kind of made me chuckle.
I saw him at an event in Europe where he was a guest speaker, and that morning he had gotten up early and sat in front of his computer and answered customer service questions.
He has heart. There was one note, for example, a Dasher was able to buy a house, and she sent a picture of her in front of the sold sign. I don't know if I've ever seen him happier than that moment.
Working with him on Meta's board, I'll often call him to get his opinion on other people's character and just referrals on other folks. And the number of times where his answer to that has been, well, I actually mentored that person for a while.
Tony himself has a deep insight into people's characters, and this is a key attribute for a great founder.
Tony lives and breathes the values that he's written down for the company, and the company lives and breathes those values.
I just had this moment where, I was always very impressed with him, but I looked at him and I was just like, wow, I'm sitting here with someone we're going to look back on in 20 or 30 years and think is like one of the business legends of our time. What he's built today is already incredibly impressive, but I think what's ahead is going to be even more amazing.